Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm here to do my review of My Hero Academia, manga chapter 332, titled New Model Hypersonic Intercontinental Ballistics. From what we see with the title of this chapter, if the translations are accurate, they aren't nukes, they are ballistic missiles, because of course they would be. Why would they fire 7 nukes at an area close to the coast of Japan? That doesn't make sense. But yes, when it comes to this chapter of My Hero Academia, we do have a main focus on the fight once again between Star and Stripe, aka Casey, as well as Shigaraki, aka All for One, aka Shigaraki Tomura, aka whoever you want him to be. And in this chapter, we do get a lot of characterization and character development for a particular character, as well as the conclusion of the fight between Star and Stripe and Shigaraki. And we'll dive right into the review now because there's a fair amount to talk about. For starters, we start off the chapter with a flashback that gives us a lot more character development for the character of Star and Stripe, but to be more specific, Casey, because we see Star and Stripe, we see Casey when she's in boot camp, when she's in training, during her time in the military camp, where during this flashback, she's questioning whether or not she's actually fit to be really pretty much like a hero or a soldier because she's unable to increase her strength past her limit. And she begins to think about that, why this is the case. We do see that she's hanging around her comrades and that she's heard many of times that when it comes to quirks, it may be limited to your innate abilities, and she questioned if the reasoning why she can't surpass her limits when it comes to her strength could be because she's a woman. So we get a little bit more understanding of how she views potentially that her being a woman may be restricting on how much stronger she can become. But we also get her comrades who are in this area saying that it's not her quirk that makes her strong, the quirk, and that any limitations that pertain to her are her quirk and not her, and how she is still a monster similar to All Might even with those limitations, as they begin laughing about it, as she shows that she really does care for the pilots by saying that these guys will always have her back, which is going to tie into most likely the end of this chapter for what happens. But yeah, after that flashback, we get more into the chapter, more into the present time. Star and Stripe is seeing the Time-At missiles coming towards her, and she tells the pilots that what's going to happen is that she's going to no longer use New Order on the laser, she's going to use it on the missiles, and that they need to distract Shigaraki. And while she's telling the pilots this, we have Shigaraki also thinking what's going on with Star and Stripe and how he knows that this laser is not effective on him. She would know that the laser isn't effective, so Shigaraki realizes that something is coming and something big is about to come at him, so he's going to make a gamble. And we do see what that gamble is later on, but yeah, he's noticing something is coming towards him that is going to be very dangerous, so he decides to make a gamble that will end this cruddy back and forth, as we also see Star and Stripe saying that she's ready to end this. And in this, her plan is, because from what we see what her plan was, she plans on grabbing the Time-At missiles with her 1,000 times bigger air person, and as that thing grabs the Time-At missiles, she's gonna release the laser, which she does, and she's going to touch the Time-At missiles and tell them that the Time-At missiles will rotate. And even when she says that, we do get a little bit more understanding of how New Order works, and more specifically, as she's saying this, she says that she needs to do this before her arm blows off, implying that this giant woman is also connected to her. So she didn't just solidify the air in her image, but she made the air sort of kind of represent her, which means any damage that happens to the air will happen to her. So if the missiles blow up in her hands, it may also blow up her arm, as well as the potential elaboration that whatever she touches, even if it's just a finger, she can apply New Order to it. So meaning that anything that touches her, or if she touches anything, no matter on her body, she can use New Order to add a new rule for it because it touched her in one way or another. And the new rule gets applied to the Time-At missiles, as we do see that while she's using the Time-At missiles, she grabs the missiles in her hand of the giant woman and begins to throw them at Shigaraki, where we see Shigaraki coming out of the sea and he gets bombarded with laser. And as Shigaraki is being put at bay, we do get to see Star and Stripe using a new move with the missiles, calling it the new model hypersonic intercontinental ballistic punch, as we do get to see this very beautiful double page spread of her using the missiles to cause this massive explosion. That is so massive that Endeavor is able to see it from the coastline, and it also blows the pilots back. And while that is all happening, you have Star and Stripe looking at the crater where Shigaraki was, and it is revealed immediately after that from a small hole in the area seen by Star and Stripe that Shigaraki is actually alive. He pops out of the ground, his flesh is burning, you can see his skeleton, he does have a nose, you can see some of his ribs as he's flying towards Star and Stripe. And the reasoning why in this chapter is because Shigaraki once again elaborates that he has full control over decay, which from what he did, he was able to avoid the blunt of the blast by sending up the Nomu as a distraction, and while that is happening, he uses decay to make a hole in the ground where he would be relatively safe. So he doesn't take the blunt of the ballistic explosion, but he still does take damage. And this kind of like ties in like this idea that even though they did throw their heaviest attack at Shigaraki, they technically missed, and that's how he survived. He was able to avoid the attack. And because he was able to avoid the attack, now he's ready to go on his counterattack, and that he begins to use this Nomu, which he controls and causes to explode, which allows for him to break the formation of the planes, which allows him to get closer and closer to Star and Stripe. And as he's getting closer and closer, apparently All For One takes over Shigaraki's body at that moment and says that he's ready to make sure that he's able to use her quirk better. And as this is happening, you have the pilot that Star and Stripe was standing on his plane, asking Star to make sure to end this right now, as Star is trying to think that she can't because Shigaraki will regenerate, and the pilot suggests that she uses the big woman to pretty much smash him, killing him, and the explosion would also kill Shigaraki with all the damage he has taken now. To which we probably get the best part of this chapter, where we get a true characterization for Star, not just as a character, but as a person, because like I said, these pilots are her comrades, and we see that when she has a serious expression where she hears that she needs to kill her friend, she hesitates. She fails to do so, and with the expression on her face, she realizes what happens, and she, from this perspective, may allow Shigaraki to grab her and steal her quirk at the end of this chapter. Which, there's a lot to say about this scene, and whether or not it's right or wrong for her to do this, it shows her character and how she values her friends and her comrades because of how long she's known them, and that she's willing to not sacrifice her friends if it means destroying Shigaraki. So from what we've seen in this chapter and over the entirety of this chapter, we really got a better understanding who's Star and Stripe, of who Casey is, not just as a hero, but also as a person and as a character. We got a lot of character development and a lot of characterization that comes to this final conclusion to having her quirk stolen. But even though her quirk was stolen, most likely in the scene, I do not think that she is dead, because I doubt that Shigaraki would use decay and All For One at the same time. So what I'm thinking is that he's going to steal her quirk and he's going to attempt to kill her, but she's going to be saved by the pilot, because they have such a great connection that she's willing to die with them and they are willing to die for her, but they're also willing to sacrifice their lives to save her, in the same vein that she made a sacrifice to save this one pilot. So I think most likely what's going to happen is that maybe all of the pilots come together, they fly off to Japan, saving Star and Stripe and leaving Shigaraki on his own, potentially to fall into the ocean, and that she's going to survive, and that she may convey information to Japan about the fact that Shigaraki now has her quirk, but then give them ways around it, showing them their limits so that they have a fighting chance against it. Because even though New Order is a broken quirk, it's not invincible, as we sort of kind of seen in this fight, that she threw literally everything at Shigaraki, but Shigaraki was still able to win. So overall, I thought this was a really good chapter of My Hero Academia, mainly for the action, mainly for Shigaraki or All For One, whoever this is, finding a way to avoid the missiles. and just having more characterization and character development for Star and Stripe, for Casey as a character and as a person. Because from what this chapter and what the past few chapters have done, have created a very well developed, very well-rounded, very well-loved character within a short amount of time, and hopefully she's not going to die in this chapter, and hopefully play somewhat of a more impactful role within the next few chapters, hopefully. But still, overall, really enjoyed this massive fight, really enjoyed the character of Star and Stripe, and hope that she's able to play a bigger role in the story moving forward. So let me just ask you, do you think that she made the right choice? Do you think she should have sacrificed her friend to stop Shigaraki, or was it the right decision for her to have Shigaraki take her quirk? Leave your thoughts down in the comments down below, leave a like on the video if you liked it, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like this type of content, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be notified for whenever I upload more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye! Huh!